Hello. Now we will talk about the story of the Father's Boots. It's a Navajo story, and it's written and illustrated by Baje Whitehorne Sr. Navajo translation by Darlene Redhair. Navajo editing Marvin Yellowhair. In English editing Gerald D. Johnson. This is a Navajo story as from Salina Bookshelf Incorporated, Flagstaff, Arizona 86001. Now there's a dedication. Dedication to my maternal and paternal grandparents who shared their stories with my brothers and sisters and myself. These stories help me live my culture today. Baje Whitehorn Sr. So let's start. Early one winter morning, as the sun rose slowly, there were three young brothers who lived in two different hogans. One hogan belonged to their mother, with whom they lived, and the other was with their grandmother. They would go to their grandmother's hogan for holidays, celebration, and chop woods for her so she would stay warm. The boys didn't like to go to their grandmother's hogan because she's too long, boring stories, especially late at night. While the three boys tried to sleep, the mother of those three boys saw that each one had a very different personalities. The eldest, tall Leo, was very good at remembering things, but still found his grandmother's stories too long and boring. The middle brother, Big Leonardo, had an ability to think. He took things very seriously, but agreed with his older brothers, and about grandma stories. The youngest, little Leonard, was a go-getter, and he saw meaning and value in grandmother's stories, but even he still thought they were still boring. On this cold winter morning, the boy's mother, Maylin, called to her eldest boy. She said, "Please, tall Leo, my son, would you start a fire and put some water on for coffee?" The boys were warm under their blankets. The younger boys pushed the eldest brother to get up. They they're all awake and talking. Tall Leo said to himself, "Didn't I bring it some wood and water last night? It's your turn, little Leonard." Big Leonard overheard him and said, "I don't know if you brought in wood and water last night." Little Leonard said, "Get up, I already did it last night. It's your turn." With sign, they all got up from their beds, including Mother. The breakfast smells good, and Grandma Sally came over for her coffee while the boys got ready for school. Maylin reminded her son that they were staying at Grandma Sally's after school. The brothers looked at one another and thought, "Oh, long, boring stories again." As they ran to the bus, Tall Leo mentioned that they would probably hear a prayer of creation that afternoon from Grandma Sally. Boring. The other brothers agreed wholeheartedly. The brothers saw the hole in the hole in the fence, shortcut to the bus stop. They went through the fence just in time to catch the bus. On the way to school, little Leonard mentioned how he had asked for a blessing earlier in the morning before dawn. Leo wanted to know how he did it. Was it cold? He asked. Little Leonard said, yes, it's very cold, but I really need to do it. Father has been gone for weeks. Mother showed me the white and yellow cornmeal for few days ago. And that's when I decided to ask for a blessing. I asked our father to return home from work so that he could be with us during Christmas. See, here's some of the yellow cornmeal that I'm going to use this for this evening after father's return home safely. The boy's father, Big Leonard, worked for the railroad. When he came home, he always took his boots off just outside the door and left them there overnight. This was how many Maylin and her sons knew that he was home. The brothers talked about Grandma Sally's stories all the way to school. They were surprised that they knew the story so well. At the front door of their school, their teacher, Mr. Hat, stood tall. He quickly directed the students to form a line for the morning snack. The boys stood in the line behind one another and waited in front of Mr. Hat. As they scuffled along the line, tall Leo said, remember last Christmas Eve when we stayed in the Hogans and Grandma Sally's told us about the holy people? Big Leonard was thinking about his brother had said, yeah, I know how grandmother told that story. It was like this, I think, long, 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 long ago, when the holy people created the earth from the center of the universe. They said, when have we have created a perfect world, the firstborn in this world were the bear cubs and the eaglets. The Holy Ones saw a need for 5 fingers individual. The other brothers also knew this story. They said, yeah, we remember what she told us and it was great. Then little Leonard took turn and tells the story. There was no one to enjoy their creation, and there was no one to harvest the fruits of the world. There were no 5 fingers individuals in this world, so the holy people made the first man and first woman. Tall Leo always found Grandma Stali's stories boring because he had heard them so many times before. Now that his younger brothers were being told these stories as well, he realized that his brothers had really taken an interest, even though they all still agreed that the stories were boring. Leo began in Grandma's stories as she talked about how if a person were in of something, all he had to do was ask and it would be granted. The holy people told the 5 fingered individuals how to ask for what was need. Big Leonardo looked up at his brothers and said, yes, I know how grandmother began her stories. Sh- She said, east, there breathed the sunrise. Where the sun actually rise, live the holy ones. Here, Mother Earth is the white cornmeal for the day. I ask for blessing and beauty all around. Little Leonard filled up with pride